Japanese painter and sculptor Takashi Murakami, born 1962 in Itabashi City, Tokyo, Japan. His father was a taxi driver and mother a homemaker. She studied and worked in needlepoint and designed textiles, which would have a great impact on Murakami's interests in the arts later in his life. Growing up, he developed an appreciation for Japanese culture as well as European and Western art. Particularly, Japanese animation would also prove to have a significant impact on him and is often reflected in his later work. Because Murakami was interested in studying animations, in 1980 he enrolled in the Nihonga department of Tokyo National University of Fine Arts and Music. Nihonga meaning Japanese-style paintings, or painting in accordance with Japanese artistic conventions, techniques, and materials. He completed his master's degree in 1988 and doctoral degree in 1993. Murakami's early works explore and reflect upon his experience growing up in a post-World War II reality, one in which relations between Japan and the U.S. were complex and tense. Two examples being Polyrhythm, 1991, where he uses plastic World War II soldiers, and Sea Breeze, 1992, which refers to the atomic bomb. Works such as Polyrhythm and Sea Breeze begin to demonstrate a development of playful style with underlying references to darker and more cynical themes, which are also prominent in his later works. In the early 1990s, Murakami traveled to New York to participate in international studio programs, where he was somewhat isolated and unhappy with the pressures of the American art market and gallery system. This prompted him to re-engage with his Japanese identity and expand upon the forms of Nihonga and the pop culture forms of anime and manga. He would soon develop his signature character known as Mr. Dobe. This figure is found across all of his mediums of work. He would go on to create a series of sculptures inspired by the otaku subculture in Japan, which is the culture obsessed with apocalyptic and fetishistic imagery. Three early examples of this being Miss Co. Squared, 1996, My Lonesome Cowboy, 1998, and Hiropon, 1997. In regards to the Hiropon sculpture, Murakami is quoted to say, "I became an otaku when I was in high school and absorbed many different things from anime like its erotic and fantasy elements. That very process resulted in this work." This sculpture embodies the term Murakami would coin in the early 2000s of super flat, which he developed in response to a seeming indifference with Japanese contemporary art. The super flat theory seeks to unite early forms of Japanese art with Japanese pop culture. Hiropon merges the low anime culture with fine art sculpture. Staying true to the super-flat style, Supernova, 1999, combines historical Japanese painting with pop culture. At first glance, the painting appears whimsical and childlike, but as one looks closer, the mushroom-like entities are all adorned with eyes, fangs, and distorted forms. The work has been said to allude to the use of drugs and resulting hallucinations, as well as the mushroom cloud of the atomic bomb dropped in 1945 by the U.S., with the disfigurement evoking lasting impacts of radiation. Death and youth seem to be clashing in this digital painting Blue Flowers and Skulls, 2012. Murakami seeks to critique the Japanese obsession with kawaii or cuteness, and the skulls present in the work are most likely a reminder of the eventual death experienced by us all. The work was initially criticized for its digital vector drawing nature, for lacking uniqueness or substance, but this is the process that Murakami uses to this day. In response to the earthquake that devastated Japan in 2011, Murakami introduced the figures called arahats, which are prominent Buddhist monk figures in Japanese culture that often brought healing to people. 500 Arahats, 2012, exemplifies the super-flat theory in that the multi-paneled historical Japanese painting style is mixed with the more pop culture style. Though Murakami has completed many Arahat paintings, this particular painting spans over 320 feet and stands over 10 feet tall.